Do you think fights like this are good for the growth of the sport?
Yeah, I'm with Bull. Very short-term bump in interest, but nobody's going to sit down and watch the Guardians game tonight that they haven't been a baseball fan, but now they're going to. So no, I don't think that they're good. Now, in the case of hockey, I do believe that hockey has had to transition from one kind of fan to another. And the fan of the NHL in the 70s and 80s were the guys that had shotguns and I hate to characterize here, but shotguns in the back of their pickup trucks, maybe some empty beer cans in the cab, and they were all about the violence of the sport. I had a lot of friends that were fans of the NHL in the 80s. When they tried to clean it up and take fighting out of it, they lost a lot of those fans. Now, they probably weren't hockey fans in the first place. They were fans of watching people throw hands. And it was prevalent back then. And they let them go. Like you said earlier, the hockey refs used to just skate back.
Right.
When the gloves came off, it was like they'd square up and they'd go for minutes.
Yeah, I don't think they have goons anymore, do they?
They don't. No, the sport has totally changed.
Yeah.
It's more of a finesse game, more European style, the way they've played it. And now the sport is still popular, and I don't think it's waned in any popularity, but it's a different kind of fan that watches it now. They're looking for the finesse. They like that side of it. Every time a fight happens, it's the most exciting moment in the arena. They still love that.
Yeah.
But so no, I don't think in general it's good for the sport.
It's so weird to me because, like, if you look at it, like when Myles Garrett was swinging their helmet, right? He got the rest of the year. Like they got him. He had to go to like counseling and like he had to do a bunch of stuff with that.
Well, but that was because it was a helmet, not.
Yeah,
I mean, Aaron Donald swung his helmet in training camp last year, and got
it
no
was like,
suspension
that's
at all.
just what it is. Like, so we will condone a lot of things, like in the NBA, because they went in the stands once upon a time. They didn't headed it off so bad that they're like, if you step off the bench,
Right.
you ain't got to be in it. We getting you up out of here. So I've never understood how it is in hockey. They could just do that and they just get away with it.
It was just part of the game for whatever reason.
It was crazy. It was like, yo, I don't understand it.
Old-time hockey.
But other teams that do it, like, it's or even baseball, you get, like, if you bat flip somebody, you hit a home run, you can literally take a ball and throw it 100 miles an hour.
But you get suspended now for doing that.
But that was part of the game for years.
It was.
That was just what it was. And people would justify it and say, you never show up anybody. We don't play that here. I'm like, you just hit me with a baseball. What if you hit me with a baseball and I take this wooden bat and come beat you half to death with it?
Didn't Albert Bell run out to the mound once with a bat?
Players have done it way back in the day.
That's crazy to me.
Was it Campaneris for the A's threw a bat at a pitcher.
Yeah.
The pitcher ducked and it sailed right over his head, but he actually.
Well, Piazza kind of threw one at
Piazza
Clemens.
did once.
Yeah.
Look, that stuff happens when you've got a lot of testosterone flowing.
Yeah.
And there's a big moment, and something like that happens. Boys will be boys, but I do think that the sports in general,
they don't want
that stuff.
None of the sports want it anymore.
That fight with Ron Artest,
actually
punching a fan.
Yeah,
that might be the league's biggest nightmare, other than perhaps a player dying during a game.
Yeah,
like a fan getting punched by a player,
or a player shaving points,
that too. Because now it's the integrity of the game.
Well, or worse, because my worst fear is even if I'm tackling somebody or somebody's messing around with me and they want to fight me, if I just hit them and they die.
Yeah,
it's possible.
Like they could just get brain trauma and be in a coma forever.
Yeah.
And then it's like, wow, you just killed somebody when obviously they did hit you, but what could you have done to kind of de-escalate it?
Well, the thing with the helmet, too, I mean, that's a deadly weapon. When you're holding something like that and swinging it, if that hits in the wrong spot, it could be catastrophic. And that's why the league came down so hard on Myles Garrett. And I think in general, the leagues have policed this kind of thing pretty well.
Yeah.
My fear is because there hasn't been something like this in baseball in a while, it might be on the heavier side.
I think it will be.
It could be 7 for each.
Yeah.
It got a lot of attention because of social media.
In general, fighting in sports is a bad thing. You don't want guys. I enjoyed this. You don't want it to become any kind of regular thing. It's not a good example set for kids.
Right.
Who are watching
I'm
the
with
games.
you. I enjoyed it in the moment, and I think everybody else did. That's why it was so widely shared on social media.
By the way, in a bizarre thing, so I was watching the Cubs-Braves game yesterday, right? and Ronald Acuna got hit by a pitch and stared out to the mound. You say, well, okay, that's not a big
Happens.
deal. The bases were loaded. The pitcher would never.
Well, I'll tell you what. I don't know what the circumstance was in the game.
It was a close game.
It was a close game?
It was
Were
5
the Braves up or down?
The Braves were down.
Okay, listen.
He didn't hit him on purpose.
Barry Bonds was famously walked intentionally with the bases loaded, and it was a smart play.
It was. They didn't do this on purpose.
It wasn't?
No chance.
What was it, a fastball or a curveball?
I don't even remember.
Right,
but
that's always
it
interesting
hit him
to
in
me.
the butt. I mean, but I think Acuna just got hit, and he was pissed, and then he
Let me tell
realized,
you, when you get hit, you almost blank out on the situation.
Yeah, sure.
You're so pissed,
Yeah.
particularly if it's in a sensitive area and it hurts.
Right. And you don't
it
realize,
does
and
hurt.
you're not thinking about what's going on in the game.
Yeah.
Did the guy do it on purpose?
I was playing in a game about 15 years ago in New Jersey, and we were playing against a team that had all young and just out of college guys. And their pitcher was from Boston College, but he was a third baseman. And we were winning, and they were out of pitchers. So they just put the third baseman in because he could throw hard. And I'm telling you, this guy was throwing in the 90s. He was young. He was probably 23, 24 years old. And he had hit 2 guys already. And in this league, they didn't have 3 guys hit batsmen and you're out.
Yeah.
The league I'm in now, if you hit 3 guys in a game, you're done. You're out. So they didn't have it. So they had hit 2, and he had only faced like 3 or 4 guys. And I said to the catcher, the guy before me got hit, I said to the catcher, I go, should this guy be pitching? I mean, he's throwing hard enough that we're not going to be able to get out of the way.
Right, yeah.
And he's going to hurt somebody. And the very first pitch hit me in the helmet.
Ugh.
And my first thought was, and I jumped up and started to take a step out to him.
Yeah.
And, my teammates quickly came off because they knew something could happen.
Right.
I wasn't going to want to get to him. He was 6'4", 225. He was a massive guy.
Yeah.
But in that moment, I didn't care about
Yeah.
anything other than you just threw a baseball at 90 plus miles an hour, cracked my helmet. It hit so hard.
Yeah.
And at that moment, you just don't even. You want to vent your frustration. It happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does.
Go ahead, Mike.
Are we gonna do the top 5 punches?
We're going to do the top 5 punches, and we have a community tab poll to put a cap on the top 5. And whenever we talk to the YouTube chat, it's brought to us by our dear friends at PCC Airfoils. If you're looking for a job with career advancement and great benefits, well, PCC Airfoils is a leading manufacturer in Northeast Ohio. All locations of PCC Airfoils at Eastlake, Menor, Wickliffe, and Minerva are hiring for all positions starting at $18 and up, plus a full benefit package, paid time off, and a signing bonus. You can apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more. Now, just a little caveat on how I rank these.
What are you going to ask the poll?
We asked if the Jose was the best punch in
okay.
baseball history,
Okay.
which we'll see if that beats
You might get
Odor
some
versus
recency
Bautista.
bias in there.
Yeah, a little recency bias, and maybe I'm a little recency bias. We'll find out in a sec.
Okay.
How I rank these. Malice at the Palace, obviously a great fight, but punching a fan does not count in these rankings.
I'm glad you didn't put that
very
one in
different. That's not involved.
I'm glad you didn't put that one in there.
To start, though, I have 6, really. It's a top 5, but because 2 of these, in my opinion, are the exact same, but they were both such good punches, I needed to put them into one category. The first was Kermit Washington punching Rudy Tomjanovich. And this is a sucker punch, and you can take tag board here. It was a sucker punch. Maybe the most devastating single punch in the history of sports.
I don't even think maybe. I think it was.
But because it was a sucker punch, I couldn't name it the best punch in the history of sports outside of boxing because it was a straight sucker punch.
Right.
Tomjanovich had no idea it was coming. He ran into it. Kermit Washington threw it, but he crippled him, dropped him.
He destroyed
literally almost could
Rudy
have killed the guy with
Tomjanovich's
that.
face.
Yeah.
He
So
needed
that
major
was
facial reconstruction surgery.
He almost
Crushed
died.
him.
I
Crushed
put
him.
that at 5A with 5B being Draymond Green punching Jordan Poole last year.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Another sucker punch situation.
See, I didn't know if we were going to go with that because it wasn't in an actual game.
It's on camera. It's in the situation of
Okay,
sports. I did
okay.
include it. We have the video if you want to relive it. I don't think we need to. We'll relive the next ones. But both sucker punches, that's why they're lower on the list, even though the actual punch itself in each of those situations may be a little better than the punch.
I mean, it's
in the
easier
following.
to get a good punch in when you sucker punch somebody.
Yeah, when they
Exactly. So that's why they put him at 5.
I would tell Draymond Green, I'm gonna get you when you. I would go to his kid's birthday party and punch him dead in his face.
his kid's birthday.
right when he's blowing out the candles, and I'll leave the gift for his kid. Like, I'm not. Listen, there's no way that you feel you're going to do that. See, Draymond Green feels like he can get away with stuff because he's the boogeyman of some sort. I would jump him. I wouldn't even do it one-on-one. I get me and my brothers, and we throw trash cans at him. I jump off the top of my SUV and elbow drop him.
Top rope him.
Top rope him. I might destroy my whole lower body, but he's going to be hurt. And you can't call the cops because you're a thug, Draymond. You know, no cops involved. You can't say nothing.
Yeah, so that's why those two were 5A and 5B.
Yeah.
Similar situations, great punches, but you don't get bonus points for sucker punches. You actually lose points for sucker punches. So the next four, were all mano-a-mano face-up.
We can respect these.
Yeah, and we start with number 4. I think the fight itself was better than any individual punch here, but the first punch Nolan Ryan landed on Robin Ventura when he bum-rushed the mound, one of the all-time greats. And we have a little video. If you haven't seen it somehow, if you weren't alive back in 93 and haven't seen the video in the last 30 years, this is the infamous fight here.
And Ventura, for a documentary that was recently done on Nolan Ryan, refused to talk about this. Which to me is incredible.
Yeah, he's embarrassed. You could tell he didn't really want to go to the mound.
No.
I think it was a principle thing, yeah.
Man, that was just crazy.
That first punch, though, was good. It was a better overall brawl than it was an individual punch. But that first punch.
He just cattle roped him, you know? I mean, this dude is, he has a cattle ranch.
He grown man strength. And look at that. Get over here. Let me talk to you something real quick.
Boom.
He's like, let me talk to you real quick, dog. Bow. Bow. Bow.
He got 5 or 6 of them in all at once.
It's over. He's done. Like he had.
You know, I think Robin Ventura misplayed it. Like, he should embrace it. I think the two of them should have an endorsement deal of some kind.
Right, but he's still bitter about it.
Like, there's got to be some product that the two of them can get together and endorse and make something good of it. And laugh at yourself, Robin. It's been 25 years.
30 years.
30 years, bro. Like, just embrace it. But instead, he's gone into the bat cave and he is talking about it.
Come on, man.
No, it is and like you said, he was a very good player.
He was a great,
and it's
a really
only
good
thing
player.
you think about with him.
Ask any, and I told my wife this when I said, Tim Anderson. This is Tim Anderson's first. The first paragraph of his obit will include this, and she's like, no, and I said, do me a favor. Go into Google and type in Jose Bautista, and then stop. And within the first or second thing you're going to see is going to be punch. And I said, now do Robin Ventura. Same exact thing. Boom, there it is. Robin Ventura punch.
You can't escape it.
You can't. You're wearing it forever now like a bad suit.
Listen to the marketing dude, Robin. You do this is for testosterone replacement therapy. You say, one day I was in my mid-30s, or was he 20-something?
He was probably in his 30s there.
I was in my early
30s,
and I thought I had it going on, and I made one mistake. I ran up against Nolan Ryan. He was 41, but nobody can tell me that man was regular. That was not regular grown man strength.
No, he's extra.
He had to be on testosterone replacement because he kicked my ass and took my name. And guess what? You can kick ass and take names too. It's called testosterone replacement.
No, how about this? How about we get Joey Bats, Robin Ventura, and Tim Anderson together?
Yes.
And they support whatever the national chain is for teaching karate.
Yeah, I don't know.
They're the 3 spokespersons.
Tiger Schulman.
For self-defense.
It's too early for Tim.
Yeah.
It's too fresh.
Yeah, too soon.
He's like, give me around 10 years. But he was like, listen, I would have stopped all that if I would have kicked him in his teeth. Karate is the place to be.
That's right. What's number 2?
They could be in a commercial with the 2 guys from Karate Kid.
No, you don't. You guys remember the scene from Napoleon Dynamite? Did you see that movie?
Yeah, sure.
When Kip went to get karate, you know, and that I can't remember the guy's name, but he was all dressed in red, white, and blue.
Right. Yes, right.
That guy was a great character in that. All right.
So number 3 gets points for the technicality of the punch.
It
gets points for being shot in 4K slow motion video.
Yeah, that always helps.
It loses points for, despite being maybe the cleanest punch ever landed, not delivering a knockout blow.
That's got to be Odor.
And that is Joey Bats and Rougned Odor.
Yeah.
This was the punch seen around the world. It was so clean.
And wasn't it it was a playoff game, too, wasn't it?
No, I don't think it was a playoff game.
I thought it was a wild card game.
I don't remember.
Oh, wait, there's a date up there. Does that say May?
Yeah, May 15th.
Man,
so
I
definitely
don't know
not
why.
a playoff game.
Okay, I was watching it.
I think they
this-
did end up playing in the playoffs.
Oh, maybe.
And so it was a storyline.
The glasses, though, flying
Yeah.
off of his head.
The worst part is the pat on the back. You did, hey, let's just live to fight another day, dog.
Now, by the way,
That was a real dirty
Real-
slide.
that was as dirty a slide as you can get. And, Bull, I wanted to say this to you today.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking about this. How about baseball gods? Like, for anybody that's played baseball for their whole life, you know that there really are baseball gods. There just are.
I don't believe in any gods.
I believe in baseball gods. I believe if you hit the ball, this has happened to me countless times, have an 0 for 3 day, but you lace every single shot. You square it up. Third baseman makes a great play.
Yeah.
Left fielder dives and catches one in the gap. Shortstop jumps and takes away a gap double. Like, what is going on? Then the next game, you swing and you nub one down the third baseline that nobody can get to. It stays fair, and it's a liner in the book. You're 1 for 1. And then it all evens out. It's called the baseball gods.
Right, yeah.
I think Joey Bautista disrespected the game big time. I'm all for the flair. I love but when his nickname's Joey Bats for a reason. He had probably the most memorable bat flip after a home run that I've ever seen.
Ever.
I don't know if you can find it, Mikey,
Yeah.
for those that haven't seen
Ever.
it, but that was his trademark. A lot of guys don't like that. The old school ball players, even today's players, there's a ceiling that you can't exceed, and he broke that threshold. That slide is one of the most disrespectful. You can end a guy's career doing that.
Yeah,
that
that
slide
was
was trash.
That was a terrible. And the baseball god said, "Oh, okay, you're about to catch one square in the jaw in front of God and everybody." Same with Tim Anderson. His reputation, even before this, if you ask around baseball, what's Tim Anderson's reputation?
Yeah, not good.
He's a punk.
Yeah.
That's what guys have called him. He's just a punk. And he got it. I mean, the baseball gods
That he
delivered it again. And I believe in that. I believe that, karma has a funny way of leveling the playing field.
Street justice.
Street justice is right.
All right,
Got
just
it.
like how number 3 benefited from 4K slow motion, number 2 is a devastating punch before the times
Oh,
of
so it's blurry and out of focus.
a little bit.
Yeah.
We don't have video of this because it's so old, we couldn't find it. Well, we couldn't find it on Twitter to use it.
Right.
And that is the Dr. J
Yeah.
haymaker
I thought that was
on
coming.
Larry Bird. He was in a headlock. Charles Barkley was holding him. He loses a single point for that. But the straight right he landed.
Oh, my God.
Now, Larry was being held up. I'm
was.
curious to know what would happen if Larry was not being held up by Charles Barkley. I
mean, there
think
are-
he may have dropped him.
If
but that
you look at
punch
the
was
Celtics
vicious.
and Lakers of that time,
They fought a lot.
Pistons, like there was a lot of good fights
All the time.
A lot of good punches.
Yeah.
Kareem and Bird
That
got
was the
into
most
it.
memorable, though, in that rivalry,
Yeah.
in that particular
Yeah.
rivalry.
Kareem and Bird had a good one.
They did have a good fight.
Bill Laimbeer had some good fights with people.
Yeah.
I think
The
Laimbeer and
Pistons
Bird
and
had
the
a fight.
Bulls had a few, too.
Oh, yeah.
When the power was changing hands in the East. God, I wish we had video of that because I know so many of our
That's a
viewers have
classic.
not seen
I
it.
know, and maybe we'll drop the link to the 6-minute YouTube clip in there, but we, just for legal reasons, if it's
I
not
know
been
you
tagged
can't
where we
show
can't
it.
use it, it wasn't in
Yeah.
there. And before we do number 1, I want to read the results of our poll on our community tab this morning. We asked, was Jose Ramirez knockout punch on Tim Anderson the best punch thrown in history outside of boxing? 77% said yes. And you know what?
Don't, Mike.
In this time,
Don't,
based on the slow motion video,
Mike.
the fact he dropped him cold,
You weren't here
kinda
last
agree
week.
with them.
Kool-Aid is now the sponsor of our
I
chat.
agree with them. I think it is the best landed punch in the history of
It
sports.
wasn't even it was almost a glancing blow. It knocked him out. The results were great.
but the results
he
matter.
gets credit for Tim Anderson being soft.
That's it.
Yeah. That is funny.
Oh, that's good there,
The
though.
Sonic rings is deadly.
Yeah, that is
Everybody
really-
has played Sonic the Hedgehog at one point in time, and you're rolling, doing backflips,
I
tumbling.
mean, that
being fast.
Rougned Odor punch.
That was my number
that was
one.
But it didn't
magnificent.
drop him, though.
No,
it
well,
didn't
well,
drop him.
Hats off to Joey Bats.
Hey,
Dude, Tim Anderson would have been dead if he got hit by Rougned Odor.
By the way, here's what we giving him credit for. Jose not only knocked him out, but he dodged 2 mean right
That's
hands.
true.
He did.
And on top of that, He was the one. He was just protecting himself. Old boy instigated it. So that's a 3. He got 3 things that happened prior to the whole situation.
By the way,
give some extra credit.
I saw in person. I may have mentioned it. I may have not. I don't remember. The greatest brawl ever. It was in a ball between the Batavia Muck Dogs and the Williamsport Crosscutters. Was the greatest brawl ever. Included in this brawl were Muck Dogs manager Frank Klebe and the Williamsport Crosscutters manager, who I think was former big leaguer Curtis Wilkerson, I believe, if you remember him.
Yeah.
All right. They squared up in the batter's box and were punching each other.
The
managers were punching. Everybody. First of all, the minor leagues is only 2 umpires. All right. So it was. And then Marlon Byrd, who played the end of his career for the Indians. Remember Marlon Byrd played big leagues a long time. He chased the guy down the first base line. The guy was so scared he ran into the clubhouse.
Good Lord.
It was bonkers.
Any video or no?
I should try it. I don't have any, but it might be somewhere. By the way, the whole thing started, most people would know this, whatever. The whole thing started because one of the guys on one team, I can't remember which one, hit on a girlfriend of a guy on the other team. That's how the whole thing started.
You know, I wondered when they said it's bigger than, when Anderson said it's bigger than this, I wonder if there isn't something that's happened off the field between
Jose
these two
bang
guys.
his wife or something?
Because he says it's bigger than this.
Did Jose pull a Rick Manning? Is that what happened here?
I don't know. We don't want to go down that road. I will say, so my very first baseball game ever, and this was to Mikey's question: does baseball need more fights? I'm as big a baseball fan as Bull, and as bigger than most people I know in terms of my fandom. I was 5 years old. My dad took me to an Indians-Tigers game at Old Municipal Stadium.
Right.
And a fight broke out between the Tigers and the Indians. Ray Fosse was hit by a pitch, charged the mound. Mm-hmm. Their pitcher came off the mound with his spikes and caught Ray in the hand and the neck. Blood everywhere.
Jeez.
The umpire at the time was quoted in the game story, because I recently looked it up because I was trying to figure out when did this happen. I think it was June of 1970.
Okay.
I found a New York Times story. The umpire, who had been umpiring in baseball at that time for like 19 years, said this is the bloodiest, goriest baseball fight I've ever seen. It lasted, in my child's mind, it lasted a half hour.
Yeah.
I mean, guys were coming out of the dugout with bats, and it was just, and we were sitting like in the second or third row, and we saw all of it. And I asked my dad, does this happen all the time? He's
I know.
Like, I've never seen anything like this in my life.
I saw one early 80s at Shea Stadium between the Cubs and Mets that was really good, too.
Oh, wow.
Ed Lynch was the pitcher.
Remember Ed?
Yeah.